The same old problems, I thought I solved them. Fell so far, I broke through the bottom. Wound up back at square one, losing a battle that I thought
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Behind the Wall podcast. This week's guest is Doug Barnes, two-time track champion at Dominion Raceway in the late models. How you doing, Doug?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, two-time track champion, you got 2 wins on the season, and up going into this week, you're 4th in points. How'd this last weekend go? I know you had twin 60s.
You know, our weekends keep going pretty bad, and then you think they can't get any worse, and then they do. So, in the first race, we qualified really well. I think we were second, and then the invert didn't affect us at all. It was a 3. And then the brake caliper bolt was rubbing into the upper control arm, so we didn't even finish the first race. And then we came from pretty much dead last all the way up to 4th in like 30 laps. And then we got some cautions to go our way for once. And then something with the steering pump was messed up. And then, honestly, if I didn't have cars around me, we weren't even going to finish that race, but I didn't think I could safely get to the pits. So I think we want to finish in 5th still, but a nightmare of a weekend kind of.
Yeah, definitely the season's had its ups and downs. Just looking at standings, you started the season off with 2 straight wins, and then haven't returned to victory lane yet, but you have a 3rd and 2nd place finish in the last couple races. What's the best part about racing late models? You go to Dominion and it's such a competitive class there. You got Peyton Sellers, you got Mason Bailey, John Goyne, and then just a bunch of people coming in and out of there. You're ranked top 50 in the country, and I'm sure you're still in the top 100.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what's not the best part of racing there is the tech. I think the top charts would definitely be swayed a little bit more if they had some sort of tech going down. But I say that, and I'm probably the only one that's gotten disqualified for something this year. So, the competition is good because it's not good; it's great. It's never been as good as it is right now at Dominion. I've ran there every single year, and I think the only other year that compared to this was probably back in 2019 when it was me, Tyler Hughes, Looney, Peyton Sellers, and Philip Morris all racing there almost every single week. So that was a pretty stacked field. But, now I think everybody's faster than we were back then. So, there's probably 8 cars that can win on a weekly basis. And that's not, some fields in the country are lucky to even have 8 cars, let alone 8 cars that can win.
Yeah, I remember going to Southside Speedway, a little short track that Denny Hamlin grew up racing. Unfortunately, that's gone now. And you look at their late model fields, I don't know. They were getting probably around 8 cars, and it was nothing like the late models that Dominion picks up. But you go against Peyton Sellers, and he's number 1 in the nation in the point standings, pretty much has been all season. He's got 5 wins on the season, a 2nd place finish. Didn't start the season off too hot. What's the next step y'all can take? Because I'm over there watching every week, and it's I watched the 88 car, and I was he can go up and win. But what's the next step you got to take for somebody to knock off Peyton Sellers?
Add about 50 horsepower to your motor. And this goes back. Never mind. I'm not going to get into that. But, you got to find a way to flex the rules a little bit. And, they figured out something that nobody else knows right now. And it's kind of unbelievable the way they's whooping everybody right now, because I've never seen somebody run a line like he runs at Dominion. He almost drives into turn 1 harder than everybody. He washes up the track a car length and a half, and he turns back down. It's like a diamond in the corner. It's weird. It's frustrating losing to it, but we really had the car this weekend before that happened, because we were having motor problems, so we got a new motor, a new transmission, a new rear end, and then something with the brakes messes up. So it just seems to always be something. So I really think that, if we could just not brake for a race, we'll be that car. And we were that car. We were that car last year that, could consistently beat him. But, he had his bad luck in the beginning of the season. Now I'm having my bad luck now. So, once mine ends, I'd like to think that we're probably going to be going head to head instead of him just, walking everybody every week.
So we talked a couple weeks ago when talked to you about the story with Dominion. And we talked a little bit about how you got into racing. You raced with your brother. What's that like on a weekly basis? How'd you get into this whole racing deal to get you to racing late models?
It's there's some bragging rights there, but you can't think too much of it, especially when Peyton's whooping you. So it's like almost everybody else doesn't even matter except for him right now. But you know, he's kind of getting back into it because he didn't race for like 2 years, so he's not really, you know, he had a fast car for like the 1 week or something, but outside of that, you know, he's still like, I don't know if he's gaining the confidence or, you know, the seat time back. Cause you know, if you're 2 years removed from a seat, that's a lot of time to be out of a race car. So, you know, you're going to have to get back into it. And especially with the competition, the way that it is, we're not really around each other too much on the track as of right now, which I'm sure my parents probably like. That's probably the way they prefer it. But, you know, it's fun. There's some bragging rights in there, but you know, it's also like, I try and help him out when I can. He's, you know, he's a stubborn guy, but you know, if he listens to me, then I try and help him out when I can.
Yeah. So you mentioned a couple questions ago, you had an incident with Tyler Hughes a couple years ago. For those who have never seen it, you probably saw it on Twitter. It went around. I'm going to play the clip now.
God damn
So something happens. Explain the whole situation, like how this came about and how you go and do your cannonball onto the windshield of Tyler Hughes' car.
Well, I mean, it really started way before this ever happened. You know, it probably started back in, you know, I think we raced together in 2016. We didn't have any trouble then because I don't think he really ran for this season there. You know, he was like every once in a while he would stop by the Dominion. And then 2017, we went head to head for the championship. And obviously when, you know, you're the two fastest people there, you're competing for, like, I won like 7 races that year. He won like 5. That's a majority of the schedule. So, you know, obviously when you go back and forth like that, you're going to butt heads and you're going to run into each other. And at the end of the season, you know, I won the championship and we were able to shake hands, move past it. We didn't race together in 2018, 2019. We're like, okay, we didn't decide together, but we just happened to be running it back for the championship. And I beat him out again. There was a lot of, you know, chump stuff that went down that year. And one important thing that, you know, kind of goes with this situation is that he had gotten into me in the first race, and then I had gotten into him in the second race, and both were completely accidental. I don't think he did what he did on purpose. I didn't do what I did on purpose. But after I did, you know, I got into him, his car owner was also on the track, and he decided to wait up for me and slam on the brakes, not once, but twice, and bring out the caution twice. So I went from the back of the field to top 5 and gotten penalized twice. And then, you know, we repaid the favor because my brother was also out there for car count and national points. So, I mean, you know, it's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it before. And if you want to include some clips from my one video, I have them in there. But, you know, we still shook hands at the end of the season. We actually played drunk football after the last race at Dominion on the front stretch. And so it's just my buddies and his buddies. We were all having a good time. We texted throughout the all season leading into the 2020 season. And obviously everything was delayed because of COVID. So then we come out the very first race. I dominate the race. I have the race pretty much won. I got a 5 car length lead with like 3 laps to go. And his car owner is out there again, now running side by side with another lap car that he qualified 3 tenths faster than. And I get to him, and, you know, obviously the job of a lap car is to stay on the bottom. Like, you got to let the leaders pass on the outside. So he's running side by side with this slow lap car, and then he falls in line and he won't get out the way. Tyler's catching me. So I go to pass him on the inside. As I do that, he chops across my nose, wrecks, caution comes out. Thank God NASCAR was actually watching this one. I didn't get penalized for this. And, then the restart happens. We go down into the corner and Tyler just drives through me. I go almost all the way up into the turn 3 wall, but somebody spun behind. So the caution came out. It reverted back to the last lap. There's only one green, white checkered attempt. So I won the race. And after the race is over, you know, I won the race, but you would think that I just like got wrecked or something. I was not happy. I was, you know, kind of talking some trash, but it just felt incredibly disrespectful to be raced like that. Like the first time that happened and the second time it happens, like, you know, we can settle our own beef. If there's beef, you don't need somebody else to do it for you. So I got him back the next week. I kind of just knocked him out the way, didn't wreck him. Thought that was it. That was it for a few weeks. We didn't race around each other. We had a faster program. And then we were running third and fourth on a restart in July. It's probably almost a year ago today. We were running third and fourth, and he'll say I came up, I'll say he came down a little bit, and I saw a video where he kind of like pinched me. We just rubbed a little bit, and he shot into the wall, and he came down across the track and made up 2 full car lengths going off in the one. And you can be the judge of that. I think he went after me intentionally, knowing that he was screwed himself. And he just left rears me, completely picks the rear end off the ground at the fastest part of the track, spins the car around into the wall. The rear of the rear of the car hits the wall. My knee slams into the steering column because I didn't have a brace there at the time. The front kills the wall, knee hits again. So I can't feel my leg like whatsoever. I just have like a dead leg. And my car completely totaled, destroyed, center section's destroyed, everything. The car hasn't even been touched since that wreck. All right. So, the protocol when you can't finish a race is you got to ride back in the ambulance, if your car can't roll off the track. So I told them, I'm like, hey, get the ambulance over here. My leg's kind of feeling, well, it's not feeling anything at all, actually. And so I look up and I see him facing, in the wall, just looking right at me, and not him, his car. And Chase comes over to the radio and goes, Chase, my spotter, goes, fucking A car wrecked us again. I'm like, so now it's just like a rage all of a sudden that I've never felt before. I wouldn't even say it's a rage. I just kind of got like a tick of adrenaline, and I dropped the window net. I wanted to fight. That was my initial intention. And I got out because I was up against the wall. So I got out on top of the wall, and the second I did that, I'm like, I'm going to jump on his car. I don't know why I thought that. I'm like, I'm going to jump on his car. So I ran, I jumped over an official. I was going to straighten my legs out. So I go through the windshield. I'm like, you know what? That might not be so bad going in, but when I come back out, this this stuff is going to go into my legs. It's not a good idea. So that's why I tucked my legs at the last second and, kind of bounced off the windshield. And then somebody had me in a headlock, and I had the Hans and the helmet on. So it's not like I was being choked out. And then some guy walked on the track, and he said, why don't you go jump on somebody else's car, motherfucker? And I turned around and I told him, I told him I'd knock his teeth down his throat if he ever spoke to me again. I still don't know who the fuck he was, but and then everybody in the infield, like the Hughes butt buddy camp down there, they're all calling me an idiot and stuff. And you gotta keep in mind, this is within like a minute and a half of the wreck happening, so I still don't know what happened. I just was told something, and everybody's calling me an idiot. I'm like, what if he didn't do anything? What if this was somebody else behind him? Like, what if this wasn't Tyler's fault? And I'm like, all right, well, I did it. I got to stick with it. And sure enough, it was his fault that the wreck happened. So we were pitted down in turns 3 and 4. So by the time my crew got there, it was the equivalent of like the bullpen running out or something like that. They're just way late to the party. And my buddy Stevie gets there. He's like, you okay, man? I'm like, yeah. And then my adrenaline's wearing off. So now my leg is really hurting. And I'm like, don't limp in front of all these people. And so I get back to the pits, and my family and crew members didn't even know what happened. Outside of Chase, he was up on the spotter stand. I was like, I jumped on his car. They brought Tyler's car around on a rollback. I'm like, I jumped on that car. Like, why? I'm like, yeah, I'm not too sure. I did it though. Somebody showed me a video on race 22. And it had like 5,000 views, probably about 10 minutes after it happened. It's just everybody that I knew was like fucking calling me and feel like, yo, is this you? Like, what are you doing? Like, all this other stuff. And the initial reaction was funny. And then it turned because apparently he was hurt. But, even if he was hurt, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but it doesn't affect me whatsoever. I didn't wreck him. He wrecked me. I didn't do anything to cause further harm to him. Me doing that didn't interfere in any way with anything that was going on. So it's just more of like a victim mentality. But, if it doesn't really matter what people on Twitter think, because I still get to drive a car, and, the guy that gave him his car, his car owner kicked him out of his car because of that. So, so it's fun though.
I remember seeing that video. It was like right as it happened. At that point, I hadn't gone to a race at Dominion, so I had no idea what the track looked like, and I just thought it was a random short track out there. And I was like, dang, like this is wild. I've never seen this. And now the image of you jumping onto the car and the cannonball is now your YouTube profile picture. And what you've done with your YouTube has been really cool. I've heard a lot of people talk about it at track. They're like, my boss Dinah, she's like, have you seen Doug's videos? I was like, yeah, they're like really cool, and it makes Dominion look really cool. So how important is it to have drivers at the local level as well as in the big series making videos, making content, and doing what you're doing on a weekly basis?
Well, I don't want to talk bad on like any of the other drivers, but I don't know how many people are actually gonna like do what I do. I put out like a good bit of my own money for the equipment for this stuff. And I mean, it's not a ton of money, but it's more than people would be comfortable spending. It's more than I was comfortable spending. And the amount of hours that it takes, the not so much the preparation, but you gotta have somebody come out and film for you. I obviously can't film my race. I can use the GoPros, I can start those, but that's about it. That's all I can do. So you gotta have somebody come and film for you. You gotta set that up, and then the editing stuff. I just had a YouTube video come out 2 hours 17 minutes ago, like the new one from this past weekend, and that took probably about 20 hours of editing. And I mean, I keep trying to make them better, so they keep taking longer. And I think it's important though, because our level of racing doesn't get the recognition that I think it deserves. Like, I think it should be bigger. Like if there's putting high school volleyball on ESPN, why aren't they showing short track racing? I don't understand why they don't do it. And a bigger goal of this, personally, it's good that it's doing well for Dominion, and it's doing well for myself too. Like, I receive a lot of compliments, and people really like my videos a lot, which motivates me to keep making them better and to keep doing them. But it's also a sponsorship tool, because now I can market myself as hey, put your put your brand in my video, also put you on a race car. You'll be seen by at least 1,000 people, like when it comes to like video views and people that show up to the track and stuff. And so it's a good brand tool. I'm not at the point where I'm doing sponsorships yet, because I want to find like the right, not so much the right people, but I want something that's right and makes sense, and not just like some like tissue company or something like that. But it's good for branding, and it's good for growth. It's probably getting my name out there more. I wouldn't say more than the AirDoug situation initially, but it's getting there. Got a few thousand views over the last couple of videos that I've done, and like combined, not each. That'd be nice though. But
yeah, it's definitely cool to watch. I end up tuning into them every week because it's just cool to see. Like, I see from like a media standpoint, but going in, and I've never done the whole driver thing, go in and work with a team, so that'd be really cool. And I think it's really good for you as well as Dominion, so I wish you the best of luck with your YouTube endeavor. But let's kind of like take a full 180. I was curious, like asking different drivers, if you could race at like any track in the world, what would that track be at, and like what car? If you could just like, I have infinite money, I'm gonna go pick an F1 car at wherever.
Well, it's probably the most basic answer ever, but a Cup car Daytona would be like the number one goal, because that's like that's where I'm trying to go. But maybe like a sprint car at like Eldora or something like that. I'm like really big into dirt racing right now, and I'm looking for opportunities. I have so much stuff like coming up, like with racing, and that also like corresponds to my videos, where I've got like some road course stuff coming up in probably about 2 weeks. I'm actually going to be racing a go-kart race at my local track, but it's at a national level in a few weeks. So I'll get to go back and run road course, which I loved doing when I was a kid. And then I live about a half an hour away from Georgetown Speedway, so I would like to get a race or two in up here. I probably need to get a new suit because I have a white suit right now, but that's not going to work well on dirt. But I would really like to branch in the different forms of racing.
I gotcha. Yeah, I remember talking to you. You said you did a bunch of go-kart racing, but sprint car racing would definitely be sweet. I do a lot of iRacing, so I know it has like nothing to do with like real life, but sprint cars are like some of the most fun I have on there.
Yeah,
but
I did the 410s on there. Or what's the lower one? Is the 410 the lowest one?
The 3 is a 410. There's a 3 something. I can't. There's like 3.
I know. Yeah. Okay. Well, I ran like the rookie class on it because I don't play iRacing that much, so I can't do all the fun stuff. But I did do it, and it was fun. And I immediately got on that after Bristol on dirt. I think that kind of like really pushed my my dirt addiction because now I'm like fiending for that.
Yeah, the week of Richmond, they had a big dirt race, and Tony Stewart Series came to Virginia Motor Speedway. So I ended up going to that. And after seeing sprint cars in person, I was hooked. And I was at Bristol Dirt Race the week before, or a couple weeks
Yeah.
before. So that kind of hooked me on. But you mentioned you have a lot coming up racing wise. Where can fans find you racing? I know you mentioned the go-kart tracks, but
Well,
what else late model wise?
you know, it's kind of, I had to edit my whole video a little bit differently within the past like 24 hours when it was just not just about done, but halfway done. We were going to run the South Boston 200 this weekend. We have Philip Morris's old car, and we were going to take that up there, but we pulled a 180. We're completely swapping everything over to that car. I'm going to make that car my primary. I'm going to bring that one to Dominion. So I'm coming to Dominion with a brand new car. Getting another motor. Sounds like an expensive thing, but it's what you got to do if you want to beat Peyton Sellers. So we're going to have a new motor, probably another rear end because I got clanked in the rear end again. And, we're probably Dominion. That's really the only spot you can buy tickets to come see me race at. And I almost want to, I see somebody keeps doing stuff where they're giving away like 20 tickets to like the first 20 kids or something like that. And I wanted to get in contact with Dominion because I want to match that and, try and get more people out. Cause these next few months are going to be in my videos. I want to make a push to make sure people aren't just watching through a screen, like come out and support like the short track racing. It should be a big thing. You don't want tracks like Myrtle Beach folding up. I know Dominion does well. Dominion is probably the best place, for fans and and the car count as well, but why not make it better? Why not completely fill the stands every week? And it can always be better. So I want to make a push for that.
Yeah, that's awesome to see what they've been doing. Dominion's definitely a spot. Dominion Raceway in Thornburg, Virginia, right off 95. Go watch, I think, the best late model field in the country on a weekly basis. Go out there and race. But I want to thank you, Doug, for coming on here. It's been a pleasure talking to you, talking about cannonballs, racing, and track championships.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Paranoia setting in, it's got me second guessing you once again.